International Tribunal has ruled that China's claims over most of the South China Sea are not legal. It's a victory for the Philippines, which took the case to the UN-backed tribunal, and the Philippines is backed by its powerful ally, the United States. But China says it'll ignore the ruling. So what happens next? We'll have analysis in a moment, but first, Azhar Sukri looks at why the sea is so important.
The warm, clear waters of the South China Sea may look like a great place for a quiet beach holiday. But it is one of the most contested maritime regions in the world. The Vietnamese Coast Guard filmed one of its ships being rammed by a Chinese vessel in 2014. The Vietnamese were trying to stop Chinese attempts to set up an oil rig in waters claimed by both countries. It's little wonder tempers here are getting frayed. The South China Sea is a crucial trade link between East Asia and the rest of the world, and it has large reserves of untapped oil and gas. The Philippines is another country that has overlapping territorial claims with China. These fishermen say their livelihoods have been destroyed by China's moves to consolidate its claims in the region.
This is where we grew up, and this is how we earn our livelihood. It was a pleasure fishing there, but now we're having difficulties because of China. I hope we can take back our shoal.
Since the Philippines filed a complaint at an international tribunal in The Hague in 2013, China has been busy reclaiming many reefs and shoals. It's built permanent structures, including military airstrips. China says it does not recognize the authority of the tribunal to rule on the dispute.
Any foreign countries that think we would trade away our core interests do not expect that we will swallow the bitter fruit of damage to our sovereignty, security.
So this is what all the fuss is about. China claims the area within what it calls the 9-dash line as its own. It includes about 90% of the South China Sea, and it covers waters also claimed by many of its neighbors. Through it passes a large chunk of the world's trade. One frequently quoted estimate is $5 trillion worth. About $1 trillion of that is with the US. And then there's the energy. The US estimates there are about 11 billion barrels of oil and 190 trillion cubic feet of natural gas under the South China Sea. That's about the same as all of Europe's reserves. The US is concerned about China's military intentions in the region, but the economic battle for the South China Sea is already underway. Azhar Sukri, TRT World.
Well, Brendan O'Reilly is a writer and educator based in mainland China, specializing in Chinese foreign policy. Brendan, thank you very much for joining us on Money Talks. Let's just start with this. China is a signatory to the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea. So why does it feel it can ignore the ruling?
Well, the Chinese position for this ruling, for this dispute, Beijing has always rejected this arbitration case brought by the Philippines. From the viewpoint of the Chinese government, the South China Sea territorial dispute, it's actually, they say it's a dispute about territory, so they believe the key point is who owns these various islands within the South China Sea. So they reject it as being a strictly maritime dispute.
Right, so just try to unpack that for our viewers then. They're saying it's about sovereignty and ownership rather than maritime rules. Why is that important?
That's important because there's many islands, might be a generous way to put it, but there's many features in the South China Sea, various beaches, shoals. There are a couple of, let's say, more substantial islands. So what China says are those various islands belong to them, whereas the UNICLOS case, the maritime law, international maritime law, it's more about establishing exclusive economic zones based on various continental shelves and other features.
Well, look, China's lost the case, but it's not going to back down over this, is it? And the United States and others are going to try to claim, well, you know, China isn't respecting international law. Do you think China's reputation is at risk here?
I think they're using this dispute, and I think all of the disputant countries are using this dispute basically as an exercise in ramping up nationalism at home, distract the people from problems at home with competition abroad.
Well, Brendan O'Reilly, thank you very much for your analysis.